Philippine News Hub Updates. Kung bago ka pa lang sa channel ko, huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe at i-hit ang bell for more updates. Breaking News May 25. Manny Pacquiao at Pia Cayetano mainit ang sagutan at ginisa naman si Manny Pacquiao ni Pia Cayetano sa kanyang ipinasang bill na ihiwalay ang boxing sports sa GA o Games and Amusement Board.
Mr. President, I quote His Honor just now, no? Hindi pwedeng magkamali dito, buhay ang nakataya. I understand, Mr. President, I understand, truly. Pero my question remains, meron bang hindi ginawa ang GAB na nakasakit sa atleta? Meron ba silang pagkukulang na ikinamatay po ng boxers natin? Or even hindi kinamatay, ha? I will not wait for them to die. I am with you on that. Pero have put them in, yung nailagay sila sa alanganin, that not all the precautions that could be given to them, because it is a dangerous sport. It is a sport that sobrang paghahanga ko sa inyo na araw-araw na nag-iensayo pa lang kayo, alam yung ang kakaharapin nyo is buhay nyo nakataya. Iba talaga yung paghanga ko sa atletang kayang gumawa ng ganyan. And that's why I also want to ensure your safety. When I say your, all the boxers and combat sports participants out there. But I need to know na saan nagkulang ang GAB para masabi natin na hindi pwedeng mailagay sila sa ganung lugar. Hindi pwedeng mapabayaan. Nagpabaya ho ba? Kasi magkikreate ho tayo ng bagong entity based on your bill. Gagastos tayo, and to put it bluntly, because of course, ayoko naman hong masyado tayong mahabang oras, no? Sa dami ng kailangan gawin during this time of COVID, nabanggit ko nga kanina sa mga senators na nandito, inaantay ko din sana na magkaroon ng Department of Waters dahil kung virus ang hinaharap natin today that has affected every single Filipino, the lack of water will also affect every single Filipino. I don't know if in half a decade, in when, but it will happen. At wala tayong Department of Water. And I don't believe it's a priority. So I'm just curious, every time I hear that there will be a new agency, magtatanong talaga ho ako. Dahil marami akong nakikitang agencies na kailangang itayo, and I feel that it is only responsible for each one of us to ensure that with the limited resources we have, mailagay talaga natin yon sa ikabubuti ng karamihan. Not to deprive anyone. And that's why nagbuhos tayo ng pondo sa National Academy of Sports. And His Honor supported that also. So ito, boxing lang. Boxing and the many boxers. I say lang only because I mean one sport, not to diminish it. So for the boxers only and for their protection, yes, I support. But how? What difference? Kasi nga, you have to tell me, His Honor, I want to know saan hindi nakadeliver ang GAB. Kailan na ilagay sa peligro ang buhay ng mga atleta dahil sa pagkukulang ng GAB. Dahil sabi nyo nga, marami silang sports na iniintindi. So kailan sila hindi nakapagbigay ng tamang guidance, tamang support? Kasi nakita ko naman ho yung mga rules na sinusundan nila, yung mga registration requirements, yung licensing, yung pre-game submissions. Nakita ko naman na may ganon. So gusto ko lang maintindihan, hindi ba nila na-implemento ng maayos? Kaya kailangan tayo gumawa ng another body?
Mr. President, my point is, hindi naman doon sa hindi nila kayang, pero ang sinasabi ko lang naman dito, Mr. President, ang in-explain ko is yung marami silang hinahandle na sports. So itong boxing kasi, kakaibang sports ito na kailangan mong mag-focus at pagtuunan ng pansin na walang ibang matupag o inesikaso kundi boxing lang at itong combat sport lang. So yan po yung sentiment ko. Ako hindi naman ako gagawa ng ganitong batas kung hindi ko experience yan, kung hindi ko naramdaman yan. Yan po yung sentiment ko as a boxer po.
Yes, and Your Honor, we understand His Honor's sentiment and passion, pero we have to base our decisions on facts. So kaya ako humihingi ng facts na saan nagkulang ang GAB? Kasi I want them to be accountable kung may pagkukulang sila, because if His Honor's new creation that's one of my next questions, will require a certain amount of funding, unless wala hong pondong kailangan dito, iba namang usapan yon. We need to know kasi we are ang tagal ho natin dineprive ang mga Filipino athletes of a world-class stadium. Finally nabigay natin, pero ang makikinabang doon ang daming iba-ibang sports, di ba? So ngayon, ang makikinabang dito, boxers and combat sports participants. But so far hindi niyo nasasabi kung ano ba yung hindi nabibigay sa kanila. Kasi I hope you understand, pero andito si Senator Gatchalian, gagamitin ko na lang siyang example. Tatawa siya. Nung ini-interpolate ko din yung bill niya sa special education, ganon din yung mga tanong ko na sasabihin natin na magdi-deliver tayo ng ganito sa mga nanay ng mga batang pinanganak na may kapansanan. Mag-e-expect sa atin 'yan. Siguraduhin natin na yung ipapangako natin, kaya natin ibigay, at saka bakit natin tinatanggal sa isang grupo, ilalagay sa ibang grupo. That has to be justified, Your Honor. Kasi otherwise, nagpapalit lang ba tayo ng tao? Yun lang ba yung issue doon? Leadership lang? Hindi ko talaga, kailangan factual yung basis natin to remove the powers over one sport and create another agency altogether. I mean, the creation of new agencies has to be always justified because there's never enough resources.
Thank you.
Nabanggit ko nga yung tubig. Wala nga tayong Department of Water. Tapos paghihiwalayin natin yung nag-aasikaso ng athletes natin based on one particular sport. So, kailangan ko lang maintindihan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, for explaining that. It's clear to me. Ngayon, hindi naman kasi pinipigilan ko lang yung sarili ko, baka sabihin sinisiraan ko yung GAB. GAB, malaking naitulong sa sport, sa boxing, especially boxing. Ito po yung experience ko na marami pong nag-retire na boxer na wala pong natanggap na pension, wala pong benepisyo na natanggap sa GAB. Yun po yung ibig kong sabihin, isa na po yan sa mga especially insurance, pension. Nag-retire sila, walang mga pension, walang kawawa sila. Yun po, isa na po yun sa mga, hindi ko lang po isa siguro, baka sabihin nila, kasi talaga sinisira ko yung GAB. Maganda naman yung ginawa ng GAB, pero ang ibig kong sabihin, yung makapupo sila sa boxing.
So, Mr. President, is His Honor saying na dito sa bill niya, one of the key provisions is to provide them for a pension or some kind of retirement pension? Is that the objective?
Yes, that's the one of the objective, Mr. President. Pension at saka protection, insurance.
So bakit hindi na lang natin ibuhos yung pera para dun nga sa benefits na yon? Kasi kung walang pagkukulang ang GAB sa implementation ng kanilang tungkulin, like is it in the law now that they provide for a pension? Because if it is and they're not complying with it, then we hold them accountable. We find out why. But if it's not, and I'm not aware that it is, please point it out to me, then they're not liable for that, but that's a provision that we can support easily, as opposed to creating another entity.
Not only that, Mr. President, also provide a pension and healthcare benefits, Mr. President. Nasa Section 16 po yan sa bill na ito. Mababasa po yan doon yung social pension and healthcare benefits. Nandun po yan.
Okay. So again, I ask my question, Mr. President. If this is what is important to His Honor, and GAB has not failed in implementing the law, then why not create a law, or even if by way of healthcare, we don't need a law for that. We can, I think we can do that by way of MOA, and I think there is something in the works. Okay, there's an existing MOA apparently, according to Gab, with DOH for the medical services, no? Yung sa pension, iba yan. We might have to create that by law. Then that's what we create, the pension by law, and not another entity, because until now, I still haven't heard the reason why it has to be removed from Gab, because they seem to be compliant with what their obligations are. And we can create that law providing for the pensions and whatever other security that a boxer or combat art athlete needs.
Mr. President, the proposed measure has a similar situation with Pelracom due to the complexity of horse racing. There was a need to add more focus on the sport. Former President Marcos issued PD 420 to create the Philippine Horse Racing Commission, which has different functions from the GAB. And po ang pinagkaiba, Mr. President. In 2018, GAB only released a total amount of 15,000 from the Boxers Welfare Fund. Promoters would be forced to pay the medical expenses of their boxers under their stable because the claiming procedure was stringent and the assistance given was minimal, Mr. President. It would range from 2,000 to 5,000 only, Mr. President.
Mr. President, may I ask His Honor to educate me? What is the life of a professional boxer like in terms of their livelihood? I am only familiar with amateur athletes who receive an allowance, and then I'm quite familiar with professional athletes in other fields like runners, triathletes. They usually have sponsors who give them fixed amount, maybe cover certain expenses. So how is it in boxing? Is there a sharing of their winnings? How does it work? Is there a group of investors who will invest in them and not earn anything and hope that they have a winning boxer? And then how does it work? Kindly educate this representation.
Ang boxer, Mr. President, binabayaran, may premium siya every fight, and then pero nagbabayad siya ng licensing, commission, percentage, and then medical payments, lahat nagbabayad. At ang problema lang, Mr. President, I'm hoping yung mga ibang mga professional boxer pag retire may tumutulong sa kanila, may benepisyo sila na matanggap. Kaya po itong napaka-importante itong committee ito. Dahil po para po kahit paano hindi naman po lahat maging Manny Pacquiao eh. Ang ibig ko sabihin, hindi po lahat maging Manny Pacquiao ang lahat ng boxers. Kung sino po naging champion, lahat po yan nag-retire sa boxing, mahihirap po at baldado, lahat walang pension, walang benefits na nakukuha. So yun pong reason doon ang pinapaintindi ko. I'm not attacking GAB or anything. Pinapaintindi ko yung situation ko because that's my experience in life na sa boxing career ko. I'm 42 years old now. I'm turning 43 and I started boxing 12 years old. So siguro mahigit sa kalahati sa buhay ko na boxing ako. So I know the situation of boxers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, ito bang mga request nyo na ilapit nyo sa GAB at tinanggihan kayo? Or tinanggihan or walang action?
Mr. President, automatic the GAB will oppose the creation of Philippine boxing.
No, not the creation, Mr. President. The reasons why you are creating. The reasons you're creating is you're saying that the life of the athletes are always in danger, and therefore you want to protect them more, you want them to have more health protection, you want them to have retirement benefits. So my question is, those are very tangible actions that the Boxing Commission intends to take, am I correct? To provide those benefits that His Honor mentioned, right?
Mr. President, this concern, magmula pa ito noon pang hindi pa ako champion. Itong mga concern sa mga boxers na ito, mula pa nung panahon pa, siguro 2 dekada na.
Hindi kaya nga, Mr. Presidente, since nandiyan nga po kayo to champion the rights and the welfare of the boxers, nasabi niyo ho ba sa GAB itong mga suggestions niyo, mga request niyo, at tinanggihan ho ba ito? Na ay hindi natin pwedeng bigyan ng more protection ang boxers, hindi natin pwedeng dagdagan ng benefits nila, wala tayong mabibigay. Ganun ho ba yun? That's why we want to now create a new commission?
Hindi kami nag-usap ng GAB, Mr. President.
So yun, so mababalik ho ako doon. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Hindi kami nag-usap ng GAB about talking about the plan for protection of the boxers, ganyan. Ito po itong sinusulong ko po, experience po ito, hindi po ito pinagplanuhan o inisip ng buti, kundi based on our experience as a boxer.
Yes, Your Honor, but Your Honor is now putting forward his ideas and experience as a boxer, now as a senator. And doon din ho ako pumapasok kasi binabalance ko din po yung aking passion, experience as an athlete, kasi kung ako lang din, lahat din ang pwede kong gawin as an athlete, ginagawa ko din. Pero as a senator, I then have to take a step back, sometimes think about it, and decide how I can support the athletes, grassroots sports, in the context of all the other issues that confront us in the Senate. So in that sense, ho yung mga line of questions ko. So ito ho bang commission na balak niyong itayo, because nga it's your experience and there is no argument dun sa experience niyo po. I totally understand, appreciate, and believe His Honor's experience. I just still don't understand why it cannot be delivered by GAB, which is the entity that is tasked by law to deliver it. I've been a senator and sat through I don't know, maybe 4 or maybe even 5 chairpersons of the Philippine Sports Commission. Ang experience ko po more of sa Philippine Sports Commission, hindi ho sa GAB. And for the life of me, I've disagreed with many of them most of the time. Most of the time, many times. Hindi ako kontento sa trabaho nila, hindi ako kontento sa support na binibigay nila sa athletes. But I never considered putting another agency because I truly believe in the system that perhaps the next leader, the sense of leadership, would do a better job. And in many times, they do a better job, pero may bagong issue na naman na hindi rin ako kontento. Siguro that's why nandito tayo, because we're always pushing the bar. We expect more. So doon naman ho ako nanggagaling na I can pinpoint reasons why I would like to, bigyan ko kayo na example. Gusto ko tanggalin sa Philippine Sports Commission kahit anong authority nila over certain athletes, particular student athletes, kasi nagkakagulo yung schools, and yung pagka magaling na sila, they'll represent the country and they become a national team athlete, they fall under PSC. May ano na yan, may away na yan sa jurisdiction. Tapos that same athlete, naging professional player. So 3 na ang humahatak sa kanya, yung school niya, well, hindi pa PBA, next step pa yon. Pero yung lumiligaw sa kanya, tapos yung national team, ano na siya, torn. And here I am, just like you, Your Honor, trying to figure out how can we protect them in the best way. And at the end of the day, in as much as I would have wanted to create another agency, I did not, because it would not really solve the problems. Kasi nga, hindi mo sa-solve ng ganon. And that's why I just feel very strongly na dapat napipinpoint natin kung ano yung hindi na di-deliver ng agency na in charge bago tayo mag-create ng bago. Kasi paano kung wala na si Manny Pacquiao? Maybe under his, not maybe, I am certain with his honor's leadership and inspiration, marami kayong magagawa for that commission. Paano kung wala na si Manny Pacquiao? Or if you're busy with some other things, which his honor clearly has proven to get involved in many other things beyond boxing for the benefit of the Filipino people, di ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify also, GAB is on regulation of the sports. We need to focus on promotion of the sports so we can be Asia's capital. GAB is regulating matches only. We want to also give focus on promotion of the sports, especially boxing in combat.
Eh sana ho, can his honor, can I give his honor more time to point out what is his wish list from Gab to say that ito dapat ang nagagawa at hindi nagagawa? Kasi we will pour in very scarce resources to create this boxing commission. May I know his honor what is the targeted or estimated budget to create this commission?
Based on a TWG, Mr. President, is a prerogative of the DBM.
Pero siguro dapat may estimate po tayo kasi
The only estimate, I think, Mr. President, for the start, it will cost 100 million to 150 million, around that, to establish the offices, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
So, Mr. President, sa sinabi niyong between 100 to 150 million, yan ho yung buong budget ng GAB. So, that's something that should be very clear to all of us, no? Because pagdating ho 3 months from now, when we will be debating, less than 3 months, we will start having hearings on the national budget. Sa galing ho ng ating chairman of the Committee on Finance, hindi niya pa rin mabigay ho lahat ng hinihingi kong budget for DepEd, for health. Hindi ho tayo maka-roll out ng ating consulta package, yung out of hospital na care na kailangan ng mga tao. Itong education facilities and personnel needed for children with special needs. Kulang na kulang po ho ang budget natin for that. So I just have to mention it, Mr. President, because every single one of us have to be conscious na money doesn't flow. May pagkukunan ho yan, may mawawala. May pagkukunan. So yung budget ho na hinihingi natin for boxing, buong budget na ho ng GAB yun. And for the record, from what I know, ang hinahandle ng GAB is 17, 18 sports. Tama ba to or more than 18? Kasi, hindi, letter A kasi says traditional sports such as, so may list yan. And then it goes on to say figure skating. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong list. Sorry.
20, Mr. President, I think.
20, okay.
That's wrong, 20.
So, Your Honor, and I mean, I don't mean anything but to ask the question that has to be asked. That budget for combat sports alone is equivalent to the entire budget of GAB for all the other sports. Paano ho natin ma-justify yun?
Mr. President, I just say that for the start, because mag-establish pa ng mga offices sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, kaya po prerogative po ng DBM dahil bababa po yan pag ma-establish na ma-put up na yung mga offices sa Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Mr. President, from what I know, can His Honor spread into the record, did DBM express their support for this bill?
Huh?
Yes, we took account on their suggestion, Mr. President, the DBM, yung silang magbabudget ng boxing, that's why wala pong amount na nababanggit po dahil sila po ang magdedetermine kung magkano pong budget ng Philippine boxing.
Mr. President, that's not what I know. To repeat, what you're saying is, sabi ng DBM silang magbabudget. Pero ang alam ko, ang sabi nila, yung proposals under the Boxing Commission are already inherently or currently being undertaken by the different offices or units of the PSC and GAB. So they're saying that it's a duplication. Hindi ho nila sinabi na silang magbabudget. So magkaiba ho yatang intindi natin. Could you kindly clarify for me?
Mr. President, they sent a letter to my office and we took their suggestion. Nandito naman po yung mga suggestion nila at hindi naman po namin nilabag yung suggestion nila doon sa pinadala nilang note.
Ano ba yung suggestion nila? Kasi yung sa akin pong notes, nakalagay dito that they said na redundant ho ang creation. So ang ibig sabihin nun, hindi sila nagsusupport ng creation ng Boxing Commission.
Sabi po, generally compliant.
Mr. President, can we have a 1-minute suspension for to review my note from DBM?
Session suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Which we can do sa amendments.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you. We already addressed the suggestion and comment of the DBM and agree and accept the creation of trust fund. So DBM wants it in the treasury. So yun po yung medyo magpipilitan. We will accept amendments for that matter.
Actually, Mr. President, what I recall, we left off before suspension. What I know is that DBM does not support the creation of the Boxing Commission. So I was just getting clarity on that because His Honor said that they have taken into consideration DBM's proposals. So that confuses me because what I know is DBM says the creation of a Boxing Commission is redundant and those functions are already being performed by GAB. So hindi ho clear sa akin kung ano yung proposal na sinasabi ng ating sponsor na parang nagkasundo sila ng DBM because iba yung intindi ko sa
Mr.
statement.
President. Mr. President, the final version addressed the issues, Mr. President.
Ano po yung final issue? Anong final version ho yun?
Ito po yung latest version po, Mr. President, the Senate Bill number 2077.
Well, I spread into the record that I'm confused because I don't know how this bill, as His Honor says, addresses the issue of DBM because DBM said the creation of a Boxing Commission which is the heart and soul of Senate Bill number 2077, is a duplication because the commission's functions are already being performed by another entity, which is GAB. So hindi ko maintindihan kung how the Senate version addresses that concern. Unless, like I said earlier, His Honor is considering that yung pondo na hinihingi for the creation of this bill is focused instead on creating a fund directly for the benefit of the athletes. It's something else because under this bill as it stands, it's creating a commission. It's not creating a fund. It's not creating a health package. It's not creating a retirement package. It's creating a commission. And I'm not aware that there's anything in this bill that even carves out the amount needed to create the commission. Wala ang nakalagay sa bill na ito kung magkano na doon ang mailalagay para sa benepisyo directly sa athletes. So, I go back to my main point where we left off na this whole bill, the budget, is already equivalent to the budget of GAB. So, paano ho yun? Kasi when we make bills, we have to be conscious of the effect of the other agencies, the other responsibilities being carried out. Ano yung effect nito sa GAB? Not just on the budget. Like, how would His Honor ask DBM to settle this? Bawasan niya yung GAB, maghati? So, 75-75? Or ibigay lahat sa GAB? Ay, ibigay lahat sa GAB, ibigay lahat sa Boxing Commission? Or to take it out of where? Kasi yun ho talagang punot dulo nun eh.
Mr. President, sorry,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, I'm fine. Please proceed.
Sorry, Mr. President, to interrupt. My point is also, Mr. President, is if we will be Asia's capital of boxing in combat sports, that will be revenue generated, Mr. President, for our country, Mr. President. Maganda po yung promotion para sa bansa natin pagdating sa combat sport. At makakatulong po yan sa ekonomiya po din po natin.
Sorry, did I hear right that the creation of the Boxing Commission will be income generating for the country? Yun ho ba yung sabi niyo? Tama ho ba yung rinig ko?
No, Mr. President. I am saying that we expend billions of pesos to promote our country, which is we only spend budget 150 million to promote our to reach our goal as a Asia's capital boxing and combat sports. That would be a good promotion and good name for the country, Mr. President. Magandang promotion sa bansa natin yan. Kaysa maggastos-gastos ka ng billion-billion na pera dyan para i-promote yung bansa. I'm not saying na hindi kailangan yun, pero maganda rin yan na makatulong, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, I'll go back to our current situation. If that is part of the responsibilities of GAB to promote our country within the 150 million that they currently receive, tama ba? They receive 120. Sorry, they receive 120. Are they not doing their job? Are they
Mr.
not?
President, sorry, Mr. President, to interrupt. Mr. President, I just want to clarify that GAB is only regulating the sports, but Philippine boxing is promoting, not only regulating but promoting. There's a promotion po. Yun po yung kakaiba.
So you mean dito sa Senate Bill natin 2077, meron ditong to promote the sport of boxing, the profession to promote. Di ko pa huyata nakita yon. Hanapin ko lang. Can His Honor help me find it? Saan ho nakalagay dito na the Philippine Boxing Commission, part of its mandate is to promote? Host. Kasi ang nababasa ko ho is host international conventions, and conferences. Eh kung yun lang naman ho, pwede naman gawin ng GAB yun. Pwede naman silang kumuha ng consultants na ire-recommend ninyo, Mr. President, para gawin ng mas maganda to. Kayo naman ang maraming kilala instead of spending 150 million. I mean, perhaps I can simplify this by asking His Honor to reconsider what we can do with 150 million pesos in this time of COVID. Vaccinations, safety protocols to allow children to go to schools, ayuda, alam niyo naman, ayuda pa lang, kulang na yun 150 million. Yes, I love the athletes. In fact, hindi ko pa nabanggit, nagbaboxing din po ako. I think nakwento ko yun kay Senator Manny. There was a time I was boxing 3 times a week. I love it as ano lang naman, fitness. And definitely, I want our boxers to be safe. But I'd like that 150 million to be put into good use, especially during this time of COVID. So, may I know from His Honor, one, how that 150 will be spent in the first year? And is that only in the first year? Kasi sabi nyo nga, pampatayo lang ng mga office yan. After that, hindi na siguro. So, that's 150 million for an administrative function that is already existing in GAB, Mr. President. Yun lang ang masakit eh. Kasi wala tayong extra funds ngayon eh. Tapos magtatayo tayo ng mga administrative offices, sabi nyo pa, all over the country. No? So, medyo ang bigat eh. Medyo mabigat yan for me to be able to support at a time like this. And then meanwhile, ano hong mangyayari sa GAB pag tinanggal natin ang function ng so those are 2 questions. His Honor can answer now, or we can suspend and we can continue tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow again for the other bills that I'm sponsoring anyway.
Mr. President, hindi naman sa pinagyayabang ko yung sarili ko, tinataas ko yung sarili ko. Isa sa nakilala ang Pilipinas sa boxing. Isa sa sports na nakilala ang Pilipinas dahil sa boxing. Hindi ko sinasabing boxing lang, but all sports nakilala ang Pilipinas. Pero isa na yung boxing na nagre-represent sa Pilipinas na nakilala tayo sa buong mundo. And therefore, kung binibigyan natin ng halaga, binabudgetan natin ng billion o million ang ibang mga ahensya, agencies, bakit hindi ang boxing? Di ba, bigyan natin ng halaga para dito lang sa initial budget or 150 million. Tapos patuloy na magbibigay ng karangalan. Hindi sinasabing si Manny Pacquiao ang magbibigay, kundi yung mga susunod na henerasyon sa ating bansa na magbibigay ng pangalan sa ating bansa pagdating sa larangan ng boxing.
Mr. President, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Please proceed.
Yun ba, itatago pa natin yun, ay ipagkait pa natin yun na mabigyan ng chance, focus, masuportahan lahat ng ating mga atleta, yung mga boxers natin na talagang gustong nangarap din na maging katulad ko na naging successful sa larangan ng boxing.
Yun ang tanong. Ano yun?
Mr. President, I don't think anyone can question His Honor's illustrious career. We all are big fans, Mr. President. But having said that, and we respect His Honor's desire to give back to the sport that he loves. I have no questions with that again, Mr. President. The only thing I am trying to understand is what is the most efficient way to support His Honor's desire to give back to the sport he loves and to support the athletes who have also embraced the sport that he loves. Is it by creating another agency? Is it by creating an agency that will have more funding than the agency that is currently handling the very function that His Honor would like to take away from it to put up a boxing-only commission, boxing and other combat sports commission. So when His Honor says kung naibibigay sa ibang agency ang 150 million, Mr. President, kayo nga nagsabi, there are 20 sports in GAB. So, sila 120 million lang ang budget nila. Tapos ang boxing and other combat sports, 150. So, napakalaki na ho yun compared dun sa pinaghahatian ng ibang sports. So, hindi naman po unfair na tanungin yung question. It's not unfair to pose that question because what His Honor is asking is that the amount being given to the 20 sports technically is sacrificed for boxing and the other combat sports. Kaya nga ho dinugtog ko yung question ko, anong mangyayari ho sa GAB? At kaya nga ho ang unang mga tanong ko is, ano ba pagkukulang ng GAB para tanggalin mo sa kanila yung isang sport na yun naman din talaga ang isa sa sport na ang pagkaintindi ko is inaalagaan naman nila. Sabi niyo naman, wala namang pagkukulang.
Mr. President, I hope you understand. Sa totoo lang, Mr. President, marami nang namamatay na boxer. Like ulitin ko ulit, marami na pong namatay na boxer. Hindi lang isa, dalawa, tatlo. Especially mga kasama ko, namatay po yun. Ang tanong, may nakuha ba silang benepisyo? Wala po sila nakuha benepisyo. Kaya po ayaw ko lang magsalita ng ano kasi baka against GAB, magano. Yan po yung dahilan na ano kasi kung history lang ng pag-usapan sa hirap ng boksingero, hirap ng sports na ito, hindi po ako magmamayabang, grabe pong hirap. Na ang daming ng mga kasama ko na namatay, ang dami ko ng mga kasama na nabalda, ang dami ko ng mga kasama na nagkaroon ng injury na wala po silang natanggap. Wala po silang benepisyo na natatanggap. Wala po silang marami pong ganun. Kaya ko po naisip po ito. Sana po maintindihan nyo itong damdamin ko, ito pong concern ko. Hindi ito inisip ko lang na mag-create ako ng ganyan for my legacy. Not like that. I just want to protect those young people who are dreaming to become a boxer. Parang gusto ko maprotektahan sila kasi pag isipin mo boxing, gusto ko mag-Manny Pacquiao, gusto ko mag-champion din. Hindi ganun kadali. Hindi ganun kadali. Butas po ng karayom ang pinagdadaanan ko. I hope you understand, Mr. President.
Mr. President, for a much smaller amount, say 30 million, 20 million, we could easily work on increasing the budget of GAB, and that would now be a fund for the health and for the retirement of athletes, especially those who are placed, whose careers are at risk, no, because of the risk that they take, no, by the nature of their sport, and that of course would refer na talaga sa boxing and other combat sports for a much smaller amount. Kasi wala naman hong makikipagdebate sa inyo na risky talaga yung sport na yan. And we really should put necessary measures in place to protect these kind of athletes. And if we add the budget of GAB, that can be addressed that way. Kaya nga ho, ang tanong ko parati, bumabalik ako sa napag-usapan nyo na ba ng GAB yan? Kasi nakaset up na ho yung structure ng GAB eh. Ang laki
Mr.
hong
President.
dagdag na, if I can just finish, ang laki ho ng dagdag na pondo na hinihingi natin to put up a commission when there is already an entity doing that job. That is their job, Mr. President. So, we need to have evidence that they're not doing their job well to be able to say na we will create another agency to do the same job. Otherwise, tayo naman ho ang hindi gumagawa ng trabaho natin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, yung 150, Mr. President, approximately more or less, pag-establish pa lang ng opisina, Mr. President. But after that, pagkatapos ma-establish, hindi naman ganun kalaki. Hindi ganun kalaki, Mr. President. Maliit
Yes,
lang.
but in this time of COVID, is that the best use of the 150 million pesos, Mr. President? Yun nga ang tanong ko. That is a question all of us will have to ask. Kasi pag ako nakikita ko na tinatanggihan ni Senator Angara ng minamahal kong kinakapatid, yung aking mga amendments sa education, amendment namin ni Sherwin, mahal pa rin namin siya. Sabi niya, wala talagang pondo. Ayan, si Senator Joel, mga amendment namin, hindi matanggap ni Senator Angara, wala na daw siyang mapagkunan. So ang akin naman, I'm talking about
Napupunta sa
hundreds.
Bukidnon Airport. Napupunta sa Bukidnon Airport yung pondo, Mr. President.
Wala nga na. Na-FLR nga lahat. FLR. Wala. Walang pera.
So yun lang sa akin. I'm just trying to bring to the forefront the very same discussion we will have in the budget hearings. Na saan kukunin yung pondo na yan? So I would like to I know that there are other things on the agenda. If I may, I would like to ask His Honor for his wish list, kasi nabanggit naman niya, pero pwede naman niya i-text sa akin or send na lang ng staff, kung ano ba talaga itong mga gusto niyang ma-achieve and itong wish list na gusto niyang ma-achieve. And tingnan natin, hindi ba talaga kayang gawin ng GAB yan? Baka pwede tayong gumawa ng office sa loob ng GAB. Kasi I have no doubt, His Honor's inspiration, His Honor's life, His Honor's very face inspires people. Wala tayong duda doon, Mr. President. But the 150 million that His Honor is asking, that His Honor estimates to put up this new entity is heavy on me because of all the other important projects that we cannot fund. And as a Vice Chair of the Committee on Finance, alam ko nang hindi kayang pondohan. And the question still remains, what will happen to GAB pag nawala ang boxing dyan? And then, again, I want to address the point that His Honor raised na madaming namamatay. Please give us the dates because I asked Gab. Wala naman daw ho namatay lately, in the last few whatever. So, kasi I want to know facts ho tayo Saan ho sila napabayaan? Now, if you're talking about there are 100 retired boxers over the years from 1970 to 1990, na napabayaan, baka we can create a retirement fund for them now, today. You know, I would love to do that. I would love to support. Pero to create another office is a bit of a problem for me, Mr. President.
Maybe, Mr. President, with the permission, Mr. President, with the permission of our colleagues,
Majority
we can
Leader.
suspend. Yeah, maybe, Mr. President, we can suspend the consideration of the measure to allow Senator Pacquiao to be able to gather and research answers for the lady senator from Taguig. And hopefully by tomorrow, she can be sufficiently educated on the issues raised,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
That's all right.
And my respect and admiration for Senator Pacquiao remains highly intact, and I just really want to find a way to support his dreams and ideals for the profession that he loves. Thank you. I will be ready again tomorrow if His Honor is ready to continue. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm ready for tomorrow. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
President.
Mr. President, round 2, bukas, round 2. Just
Mr.
kidding, Mr.
President,
President.
Mr. President,
Second
Just
round.
recognize Senator
Right.
Angara, Mr. President.
just a parliamentary inquiry, the majority leader.
Yes, Senator Angara, go ahead.
Yeah.
What is the parliamentary
is this,
inquiry?
a 12-round bout like with Senator Drilon? Or is this an MMA fight which is only 5 rounds, Mr. President?
The Senator Drilon bout was terminated unceremoniously because of the CND.
I'm just kidding, Mr. President. Thank you. Just to lighten the moment, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that,
Senator
Mr.
Drilon,
President,
you were raising your hand. Go ahead, the minority leader. Hindi, may kausap na iba. Go ahead, majority leader, go ahead.
Yes. For the record, I have no questions on the period of interpellation. So the malicious statements of Senator Angara has absolutely no basis. Intriga lang po yan. But, I promised Senator Pacquiao, I will support this, probably with just one amendment. Otherwise, wala akong problema. Kasi, I really interpolated. The same points raised by Senator Cayetano, we raised it in the first instance. If Senator Pacquiao will recall. Pare-pareho lang yung aming tinatanong noon. Talagang ngayon, so ako naman, tapos na ako magtanong, kaya nga sinusuporta ko na. After, that's why, again, I repeat, this malicious mind of Senator Angara has no place in these proceedings.
Don't you come from the same fraternity?
Philippine News Hub Updates. Kung bago ka pa lang sa channel ko, huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe at i-hit ang bell for more updates.